Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing history right now. It's day 33 of the shutdown, and President Donald J. Trump just went nuclear. Just moments ago, the president unleashed what could be the most decisive move of his second term, ordering Senate Republicans to invoke the nuclear option and end the Democrat-engineered shutdown once and for all. And the reaction? Pure panic in Washington. Chuck Schumer is scrambling. The White House press room is on fire. And the radical left, they are realizing that their entire power play just backfired big time. Now, you see, guys, for weeks, Democrats have held your government hostage, demanding billions of dollars in new spending, taxpayer-funded health care for illegal immigrants, and a full reversal of the very policies that put America back on track. They thought that Trump would cave. They thought the American people were going to break, but instead, President Trump just flipped the switch. Now he's calling their bluff, daring them to stand in the way as he moves to reopen the government, to restore order, and to expose the real reason that Democrats wanted the shutdown to drag on and on and on, which is control of your money, control of your health care, control of your vote. Now, here is the twist, okay? This isn't just about the shutdown anymore now. It is about the future of the republic, because if the filibuster fails, if the Democrats lose this fight, then they lose their last line of defense. And then Trump's America First agenda goes on into overdrive. So buckle up, guys, because today I'm going to break down every move, every panic mode, every panic moment, and every warning shot that was fired from President Trump. Hit the like button, subscribe. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is official. President Trump has just ordered the Senate to go nuclear. No more gridlock, no more political theater, no more waiting for Democrats to just come around, okay? According to Reuters, the president told Senate Majority Leader John Thune that America cannot be held hostage by an outdated Senate rule written for a time when both parties actually played fair. Now, those days are gone. The Democrats blew that bridge up a long time ago, okay? The bridge is gone. The bridge is destroyed. President Trump's directive is simple. End the filibuster, fund the government, and deliver for the American people right now. No more waiting. So he knows that this so-called 60-vote rule, it has become the Democrats' favorite weapon of delay. For weeks, Schumer and company have used it to block every single attempt to reopen the government, betting that public frustration would break President Trump's resolve. Instead, President Trump has just turned the tables. His message tonight is clear. We will not be paralyzed by procedure while American families are suffering. By invoking the nuclear option, the Senate could move forward with a simple majority, bypassing the obstruction, restoring pay to federal workers, and putting the focus back where it belongs, on results. Now, President Trump, his move sends one unmistakable signal. This isn't a game. This is leadership, guys. And Washington just felt the detonation. Now, I want to talk about the other side of this shutdown, because this is huge. Chuck Schumer's demands. For 30 plus days, Democrats have refused every Republican proposal, unless it included this $1.7 trillion in new spending, major rollbacks to Trump's 2017 tax cuts, and expanded healthcare subsidies for undocumented migrants. Now, I want you to think about that, okay? So while air traffic controllers and TSA agents and federal employees went unpaid, Democrats were trying to rewrite the entire healthcare system that they themselves broke back in 2010. They call it negotiation, but most Americans are calling it extortion. Drop an extortion down below if you think that's what it really is. Now, Chuck Schumer's team believes that dragging out the pain would turn the public against Trump. But polling now shows the exact opposite has happened. It backfired in their faces. People are blaming Democrats for the gridlock. Even moderate Senate Democrats are privately begging for an off-ramp, because every day that the shutdown continues, their approval numbers continue to crater and go down. Meanwhile, President Trump has one demand only: reopen the government. He wants to reopen the government first and then debate policy. And I think that makes a lot of sense. This is why his go nuclear order is so explosive. It rips the power of delay right out of Chuck Schumer's hands. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but this is exactly why Washington is in full-scale panic mode tonight. You know, the phrase holding America hostage, it doesn't even begin to describe what's happening in D.C. Here's where it gets even uglier, folks. The biggest sticking point in these negotiations isn't just about dollars and cents. It is about who gets those dollars. Where do those dollars go to? Now, according to multiple House GOP sources, Democrats are demanding the return of taxpayer-funded Medicare benefits or Medicaid benefits to illegal immigrants. That's right, guys. So while millions of American citizens are struggling to afford their prescriptions today, Chuck Schumer and his team want to use your money to subsidize non-citizens. Drop a yes if you're okay with that. Drop a no if you're not okay with that, okay? Now imagine this. Invest in every sector you love with just one stock purchase. 3D Capital, listed on the CSE, under ticker symbol IDK. In the US, under ticker symbol IDKFF. It is a risk diversified basket of 60 plus vetted investments. Get founder level exposure, the kind that most investors can't access, and in some of the hottest sectors: blockchain, AI, IoT, biotech, natural resources. One such company is AIML Health, okay? AIML Health. AIML has just gone commercial using AI to predict heart events and analyzing PPG and ECG files into actually accurate, actionable numbers in seconds and minutes rather than days or weeks that it normally takes, further saving lives. Now, this is believed to be the biggest breakthrough in heart diagnostics in 60 years, folks. By comparison, current wearable market data is almost useless for consumers, and it's too slow on a professional level. Now, 3D Capital is led by a CEO whose last venture returned 150x. Now, 3D is currently trading at an 80% discount to its asset value per share, before even considering the growth story potential, and they're actively buying back and deleting shares. The world's highest returning investments usually come from founder level access. Think of 3D as your ETF index for early stage disruptive innovation. Subscribe to their YouTube channel, watch the trailer linked down below, and even leave a comment for a chance to win $1,000 USD cash giveaway. I'll leave a link for you guys down below for that one. Now, don't just invest. Get the bragging rights that comes along with being a first mover with 3D Capital, listed on the CSE under ticker symbol IDK, and on the US under ticker symbol IDKFF. Now, I am not an investment advisor, and nothing in this presentation should be considered investment advice. Always conduct your own due diligence making any investment decisions. This video has been sponsored by phkinvestments.com. So this is the same failed formula that we saw during the Obama years, only this time they're doing it in the middle of a government shutdown. Now, President Trump, he drew a red line months ago. No taxpayer-funded healthcare for illegal immigrants, period. But Democrats see this shutdown as leverage more than anything else, an opportunity to kind of slip their wish list into a must-pass bill, hoping that nobody notices while the media is blaming Trump. Well, America did notice, guys. Republicans made it very clear that this is not compassion, it is chaos. It incentivizes illegal crossings, overburdens hospitals, and it drains funds that were meant for veterans, for seniors, and for working families. So when President Trump said enough is enough and ultimately threatened to go nuclear, this is exactly what he meant. It's not about reopening the government. It is about stopping a corrupt system from rewarding the very behavior that undermines our borders. So now I want to talk about the fallout, because it's not just theoretical anymore. As of today, nearly 500,000 federal workers are either furloughed or they're working without pay. Have any of you guys seen the crazy lines that are in these airports? How about Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson Airport? The TSA agents are stretched thin. Air traffic controllers are pulling double shifts. Major airports from Atlanta to Denver are reporting significant delays. SNAP benefits, better known as food assistance or food stamps, expired last week in several states, and small business loans have frozen. Now, even military families are days away from missing paychecks until President Trump found a legal workaround to keep them funded. Now, the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, she laid out very clearly, very perfectly earlier today, if it were up to Democrats, even our troops would be unpaid. That is the level of dysfunction that we're dealing with today, guys. Democrats call this leverage. Trump calls it madness. And for millions of Americans that are watching their paychecks evaporate, well, it's pretty clear who's fighting for them. And it's also pretty clear who's fighting for politics. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where President Trump shines, okay? So while the DC establishment obsesses over optics, Trump obsesses over results. The man built his career on negotiating tough deals. And now, as president, he is using the same blueprint to force Washington's hand right now. I mean, you guys remember, this is the same President Trump who slashed prescription drug prices by going toe-to-toe with Big Pharma. The same Trump who brokered peace deals the so-called experts said were impossible. He doesn't bluff. He doesn't blink. He battles until the scoreboard says win. And so in this shutdown fight right now, Democrats underestimated the one thing that's defined Trump since 2016, his refusal to surrender. They thought that dragging things out were going to wear him down, but instead it only made him more aggressive. By invoking the nuclear option, it's not just making a tactical move. He's making a statement here. The era of Republicans being timid is over. President Trump isn't negotiating for lobbyists. He's negotiating for the truck driver in Ohio, the single mom in Texas, the small business owner in Arizona, and he's showing America that leadership it's not about about smiling for the cameras. This is about having the courage to say no when everybody else folds. This is what America First looks like in action. So now here's what's really at stake, and also why this fight is so much bigger than just a government shutdown. So according to both White House insiders and Senate Republicans, Democrats are not just blocking the government from reopening, they're laying the groundwork for a radical power grab the moment they regain control. Now, for millions of seniors, this is what happens when Medicare coverage fails. Because when Medicare doesn't work the way it should, it's not just you that ends up paying. It's your family, your kids, your grandkids often end up covering the gap. Now, who wants to put the pressure on your family, on the kids, right? This is why I partner with Chapter, guys. They make sure that your Medicare plan actually works so that your family doesn't have to carry that financial burden. Now, one of our viewers told me, she said, calling Chapter lifted a huge weight off of my family. And this is exactly what it's all about. It's about peace of mind, knowing that your plan is solid before the costs hit. So let me ask, do you want to pass the burden on to your family members, to your kids, to your grandkids? Or do you want to join the thousands who are already protecting their families? Now, most people are already dialing that phone number right there on the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. That phone number again is 909-563-8279. And tell my friends over at Chapter Ron says hello. Oh, and you don't have to take my word for it. Listen to what one of our viewers said. So Margaret Vin 8895, she said, just call Chapter will save me in 2026 $600 a year. Thank you, Ron. Now, if I'm not mistaken, when illegals get SNAP benefits, they get a social security number, which gets them a voter registration, which lets them vote. Hello, Democrat, vote. And you know what? She's absolutely right to connect the dots. Democrats use taxpayer money to buy votes through entitlement expansion. That is the same corruption that President Trump is fighting in Washington right now. So I appreciate your comment. Now, we're talking about packing the Supreme Court with progressive justices, making Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico states to add 4 new Senate seats and manipulating the Electoral College to secure permanent power. Now, Trump called it out directly on Truth Social. They'll pack the court, pick up 2 new states, and add at least 8 electoral votes. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid. Fight, fight, win. Guys, that's the battlefield that we're on right now. If Republicans hesitate, they lose not just this shutdown, but the entire balance of power. And this is why President Trump's nuclear call isn't reckless. It's surgical. He's dismantling the Democrats' long game before they can even execute it. Because if the left can rewrite the rules, well, America's republic as we know it won't survive. Now let's talk numbers, okay? Because the narrative that Democrats are pushing, it's collapsing fast. Now, according to a Newsweek analysis out this weekend, the tide has officially turned. Polls now show that a majority of Americans blame Democrats for prolonging the shutdown, while President Trump's approval rating among working class voters has actually risen. Now, I want you to think about that. For weeks, mainstream outlets predicted Trump would take the political hit, but instead, Americans are saying, wait a second, he is the only one that is actually trying to reopen the government. I mean, every press conference, every fiery post on Truth Social, every televised statement where Trump said, I will not cave to blackmail, oh, it's working. People are watching a president who refuses to play politics with their livelihoods. Now, here's a kicker, okay? Independents, yes, independents are siding with him. They see that Chuck Schumer's stalling tactics for what they really are. They are political hostage taking. The result? Trump's nuclear option. This message isn't just landing, it is winning. Momentum has shifted. The media can't hide it. Trump's numbers among Hispanic voters ticked up 3 points last week. Veterans approval rose 5 points. And even among Democrats themselves, nearly a quarter are saying the shutdown should end with or without a deal. Now, in short, America's patience for political theater has completely run out, okay? And Trump is the only one that is still standing on principle. And so even as Trump gains momentum nationwide, the real test, it's happening behind closed doors, inside the Republican Party itself. Sources very close to Majority Leader Thune said there's been fierce debate among Senate Republicans. Do we go nuclear now, or do we wait and risk Democrats doing it later? Now, this is the same fear that haunted past GOP leaders, paralysis by caution. But Trump isn't having it. No, Trump ain't having none of that. In fact, he's reminding his party that weakness is what got America into this mess in the first place. Now, behind the scenes, aides are saying that President Trump has spoken personally with Thune, Speaker Mike Johnson, and nearly a dozen GOP senators, telling them point blank, if we don't act now, we will regret it forever. And he's right. because everyone knows the next time that Democrats control the Senate, they will eliminate the filibuster without hesitation. President Trump's argument is simple: beat them to it. Use their playbook before they use it on you. This is the turning point. This is the moment where the GOP decides whether to make history or to repeat it. And so now we get to the other side of the battlefield, the chaos inside of the Democratic Party. Even their own members are cracking under the pressure. Now, according to a New York Post report, several moderate Democrats have privately urged Chuck Schumer to cut a deal before their poll numbers sink even further. But Chuck Schumer, he can't, because he's being held hostage by his own far-left base. The fractures are showing. Progressives like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Pramila Jayapal are demanding even more spending for illegal immigrant programs. Meanwhile, older moderates, they're fearing that they're going to lose re-election if the shutdown continues another week. So it's basically a circular firing squad. On the one side, it's screaming for socialism, but the other side is begging for survival. And then, of course, there's leadership, or maybe the lack thereof. So Trump called it out perfectly. The Democrats have no leader. Joe Biden is politically irrelevant. Kamala Harris has gone radio silent, and Chuck Schumer's approval ratings is in free fall. So what you're seeing right now is not strategy. This is pure panic. They thought the shutdown would weaken Trump, but instead it exposed their own weakness to the entire nation. And every time Trump stands behind the podium and says, "We will not fund illegal aliens with American taxpayer dollars," another Democrat's phone starts ringing with angry voters back home. So yes, the panic is real. And tonight, the Democrats' so-called unity is in complete meltdown. And this brings us right here to the hammer drop moment, guys. After 33 days of brinkmanship, President Donald J. Trump is done waiting. He's moving to end this shutdown once and for all, and he's doing it on his own terms. Now, reports from the Hill say Trump is preparing to formally instruct Senate Republicans to proceed with the nuclear option within hours if Democrats refuse to vote. The goal? Reopen the government, pay America's workers, and expose the radical left's entire playbook. Now, Trump's message tonight is as sharp as it's ever been. We're done negotiating with hostage takers. We are reopening this country with or without them. And that's the moment that everything changes. For years, Washington elites mocked Trump's toughness, but now they're watching the very rule book that they depended on burn in real time. Because when you corner a fighter who never quits, you don't get a compromise. You get a counterstrike to the face. And this is President Trump unleashed today. This is the nuclear moment. And for Democrats that are clinging to the last thread of control, this is the sound of the hammer dropping. Listen for it. Like, subscribe, and share, and subscribe, because the next 48 hours could rewrite Washington's future. See you next time.